You're watching New Car Spin. I am your badly dressed host, Brian Grant, and this is the Lexus GS F. Not just any GSF, this is the 10th anniversary. There will only be 100 of these made for the US. So before Doug DeMuro reviews it, let me tell you that that is a quirk and a feature wrapped in one. It has some features on here that I do love. You'll see the carbon fiber here on the front lip. Beautiful. You'll also see it as a matte gray paint color. And when they dropped it off, they said, don't wash it, don't hose it off, don't frickin' touch it. I'm assuming it's a $15,000 paint job, but it comes with the 10th anniversary edition, and it's a stunner. I mean, this is what it looks like in plain light, and that's what it looks like behind polarized shades. So there you go. You can kind of see it has a lot of reflection to it, but it has a very subtle look to it. But I assure you, it's nice and dirty. You don't want to hose it off because you don't want to have water spots on it. And let me show you the inside. Blue seats. Alcantara dash. Just really crazy in here. It is crazy. And that's the best part about it. So I drove this car down here from Dallas. I'm now in Austin. And, well, let me go in the garage real quick and tell you a few things. Let me go in there. Let me pause it. I'll be right back. Okay, this is my toy. I bought this a couple months ago. It is a Z3 with an M3 engine in it. It's known as the M Roadster. And it is awesome. It has a manual transmission, rear wheel drive, limited slip rear diff. Oh, sorry, my phone's going crazy. Anyway, this is fun and it's very connected to the road, very organic, and it's my project car. My project is to preserve the manuals. And the funny thing is, well, I already did a review on the GSF in Dallas, and then I came all the way down here last night and I watched my video this morning and I thought 35 minutes is too long for a review on a Lexus. It's just outrageously long. And I thought the things I brought up seemed like they were very, very analytical, very detailed, a little too much. And for some reason, I ended up looking at other GSF videos just to see what those people brought up. And, you know, because I hold the camera and I don't have a crew, I can't really show you tire smoke and all this other stuff, nor am I really into that. In fact, I'm not really a fan of Chris Harris, of all people. I hate the way he looks, I hate his accent, I hate how he drives, but the guy does make sense. And so, as much as I dislike his accent and his attitude, I actually watched his GSF vs. M5 video. And he mentioned the exact same thing that I mentioned in my review. And I'll tell you right now what it was. I think that is the Japanese version of an E39 BMW M5. That is so organic and so natural that if you've ever liked an E39 5 Series BMW and you loved the M5 version, that's right up your alley. And of course, I do have some experience with what the M vehicles are like, so take my word for it. I think what I'll do now is, oh yeah, one thing is that has a blue interior, and I was like, what does that remind me of? And then I realized what it reminds me of. It reminds me of my blue interior. See what they did there? You see what they did? Yeah, mine's worn out. It's got 100-something thousand miles on it. But let me grab something. And let's go ahead and get on the Lexus. key. Shut that garage door. Shut this door. Okay, I do like the blue interior in here. The steering wheel has an F fixture on it, but it's not a flat bottom steering wheel, and I wish it was. Let's start it up. Let that 5-liter V8 come to life. 32 valve, naturally aspirated. Just under 470 horsepower. It's like 464, and I don't know where the window sticker went. It's back here somewhere. I'll go find it. So part of this is that it has a badge here. Right there, that badge says F10 Anniversary Limited. Now there will only be 100 of them, and I think they're numbered, but this car is not numbered because I think it is a press car. There we go, that lighting will help you there. That badge means that there's only 100 of these, and there will be just the regular GS F, but this being the GS F Anniversary, you'll know because it has the blue steering wheel, the blue seats, the blue dash, the blue stitching, and the blue sort of carbon fiber-esque. Let me turn the fan down here on this so you can hear me better. The blue carbon fiber trim, which to me doesn't look that great because it's flat, and I think a glossy carbon fiber looks better than this. This to me just looks like plastic, even though I guess it is carbon fiber. But yeah, that's like my least favorite part of this package. I do like how the Alcantara goes all the way inside the binnacle here. There's a black Alcantara stitched in, so that's really cool. And it's just a standard GS beyond that. I do have to say there's a few things to talk about with this drive control, and then of course this here I want to just pick up and throw out the window. It's in a few of the other Lexuses, and I really dislike this. It really hampers the usability of the vehicle, and that's the least of our concerns. You'll see on my trip computer here, I've averaged 18.5 mpgs. That's with city driving. On the freeway, I got about 22. I might do a road trip video for you. We'll see. We're gonna drive it. We're gonna drive this, but let me open this up here. Let me see if I can find that window sticker. We'll have to go in the back to do it. Don't like it when the doors stay locked. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so this is called Matte Nebula Gray, which is like, I think that's just the color for this package. And if we go down to the price, $92,655. That's because the 10th anniversary edition option is another $5,000. So keep in mind that you don't have to get the 10th anniversary to get a GS F. You can just get a GS F at this point. So what we include on this car, let's see if I can get it with the better lighting. Oh, the wind there. Michelin Pilot Super Sport tires, blue brake calipers, Brembo brakes of course, projector lamps under the doors, the bespoke interior blue Alcantara interior trim, blue seat belts, there we go, 1 of 100 units produced. These are the brake calipers, by the way. Very flashy, I like it. And we do have the blue trim on the back seats, just no white stripe on the center of them like in the front, which is different. Put this back in here. Okay. Weirdly, it doesn't have soft closed doors, right? But it does have a soft closed trunk. But it's not a powered trunk lid, which is weird for this price. But carbon fiber lip spoiler, excellent exhaust. heated and cooled seats. We're on auto here. Unlike the Lexus LC, we have the buttons to control the heated and cooled seats outside of the interface for the screen. So last week I drove an LC 500H, and I wish it had buttons to control the HVAC. I mean, at least the venting on the seats. And here we have something right out of the LS, or maybe the LS took it out of this. I love the animation. And the funny thing is, in that video that Chris Harris did, he like pointed out all the same things, and I'm like, oh my god. So all I can really do is show you the 10th anniversary edition version of it, but I do want to drive it. So let's go ahead and put the seatbelt on. This is a weird spot too for this button. That's the parking button, and it's covered by the Alcantara armrest, which is weird. And then we have normal and customized. So if we try and customize our driving modes, I really don't know how to do that. So we can go to menu, and I can go to setup, and I really dislike this mouse thing. It's just so counterintuitive. But we're gonna go to, is it general? Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, to me it makes no sense, but we'll just drive it, and I'll show you why I think it's like a Japanese M5. We'll go ahead and throw it in reverse. Now, this being $92,000, it has things that the original E39 M5 doesn't have. We have a backup camera, for instance. We have radar cruise. We have lane keeping assist. We have different drive modes and a digital instrument cluster. Well, at least 2/3 of it. The best thing I can do, though, is just drive it. So let's go ahead and do that. It has rear cross traffic alert, too, when you're backing up. Of course, I can't demonstrate that because no one's coming. And it has a standard automatic transmission. It's an 8-speed, and it's just like out of the E39 M5. It's just a regular automatic. It's nothing fancy, and it's rear-wheel drive. So it is a lot like that old school M5, and it has a V8 here, and it moves, and it sounds great, and it feels very, I would say, custom. So we don't have like different driving modes or features, but we still have a feeling. I'm still in a neighborhood here, so we're just going to take it easy. We have oil temperature display in addition to the coolant temp display when we're in normal mode, and if we change it to sport mode, we keep it, and then when we go to track, or basically Sport Plus, our display changes and the shift patterns change, but we'll keep it in normal right now. You'll also see the little eco light there. We do have an eco mode we can go into like this, and that totally restrains the air conditioning as well. And here in Texas on such a hot day, that's not a good idea. So I just like it in normal, which is what the car defaults to anyway when you start it. So there's the different drive type. And then we have this thing called TVD, which is a torque vectoring diff. And that's this button right here. So as you press it, you'll see there slalom, and then you'll see track. So normal is fine, but we're going to use slalom. And what slalom has been stated to do in the press kit is that it makes it feel like the car is smaller than it is. So it's actually sending power to the wheels differently. And here is the display for that. So you'll see torque distribution. And what it will do is it will throw more power to the outer wheel through corners. And we'll just go ahead and demonstrate that now. So we had traction control kicking in there, and then we also had somewhat of this laggy V8 getting up to speed. And it's kind of hard to demonstrate this on these streets in Austin because they're so slick on a hot day, which is a weird thing to say, but this place is weird like that. And what I do like about this car is that it has multiple personalities, and all you have to do is just turn this knob down here to the mode that you want. So being a normal mode, we can just drive along. I wouldn't call it normal, I would actually just call it comfort. And what we can do is just cruise along and drive effortlessly. And then we have this mode called Sport. And to me, Sport is what this car would be normally. So I think if you say Sport and then Sport Plus is kind of a useless term, I'd agree. Sport Plus should be considered like track. So Sport to me is normal, normal to me is comfort, and then Eco is Eco. And now in the Lexus LC, we have more options as far as modes. But then in this car, it's a little bit older, it's a little bit dated. I wish they had Alcantara there on the seat door, on the door liner there, on the center of the door, rather than just the armrest. But that's just kind of how this car is. There's like so many things going on. You really just need to focus on what's going ahead in front of you. So today, we're just going to drive this car. It's a little bit heavy with the traffic, but we're just going to enjoy what we can here. There's a new toll road right there, and I'd love to use it, but I really would feel bad making Toyota pay for the toll. They have a toll tag on this car, and well, I guess it's for a reason. Maybe we should use it. Maybe when we turn around, we'll go use the toll. Try it in track mode or Sport Plus mode. It's just, oh, such a slow day. So the noise that this car makes is very highly tuned. It's you know, got those 4 exhaust pipes in the back, and they're stacked, and they're like billeted. You know what this reminds me of too, in addition to the E39 M5? It reminds me of the Infiniti Q50 Red Sport 400. Now this Lexus obviously has more power, but just the way it assaults the road with speed, I think that's the best part to describe this car. Is it's just a way to get from point A to point B in such a great way. I did a road trip in this, and you know, you just cruise along, and then all of a sudden be like, I want a different mode, and you flick that button there, or that you flick that knob, and all of a sudden your adrenaline starts rushing because of the way this thing can sound when you open it up. So what we'll do is we'll make a U-turn. That's what we'll do. I'm gonna go over here to this driveway and make a U-turn. And we'll stay in sport mode until we get onto the toll road. To the driveway, and then back onto the road. Now it does have a very high RPM red line. It's 7250, I think, and it sounds very nice to get that high. Although you don't necessarily use it all the time, because this car does it does well on the track, but in the city there's just no off-the-line performance that you'd expect from a V8 of a new car these days, which is kind of why I'm saying this is an E39. God, what a moron. Okay, so an E39 is old school, and it has like slower responsiveness on toe-in on the throttle, and this car has that same exact kind of feeling. And I think if you change the mode of the torque vectoring diff, and then you change the mode of the vehicle to Sport Plus, you kind of get more of what you'd expect from the modern, newer, brand new designs of vehicles these days. And now we're on the toll road, so I'm gonna do it in Sport Plus. I've never been on this road, so I don't know what to expect. And I like the gear changes. They're very crisp. I don't necessarily use these paddles because I'm too busy gauging all the traffic in front to figure out which gear to be in. And I wish my camera could focus on the gauges and the road at the same time, but I can't. So the best I could do is just show you. There we go. And then if you actually start slowing down when you're in Sport Plus, it downshifts. And it sounds great. It's obviously for show. To me, it's one of my favorite features. I've driven 2 of these on 2 different tracks before. And I do like the way it sounds. I just love this car for that effect. In the city, it's okay, but I prefer this thing on the track, which is, oh yeah. Yeah. So now you can see why I drove this car from Dallas to Austin. It didn't take long at all, I swear. And that's just kind of what I love about this car. Oh yeah. If you're really looking for a substitute for an E39 M5 without having all the tech and gadgetry and stuff that you fear may go wrong, this car is almost down to the basics, except it has a lunatic exhaust note. It has pretty decent power. It gives off a pretty good sophistication. Like it doesn't seem like a boy racer car is what I'm trying to say. So I think it's a good alternative. Actually, we're gonna go this way. It's a good alternative to something like an AMG, especially if you're gonna look at an AMG that's not a V8. So now we're going to go back into standard mode, which to me is comfort. And yeah, the seats in here are okay. They're not as nice to sit in as the new LC. And I compare this to the LC because you can get the LC with the V8 engine in it. And the LC has 471 horsepower, which is just a little bit more than the Corvette Grand Sport. I do have that video where I compare the LC 500H to the Corvette Grand Sport, and I did that with Derek from There Will Be Cars. So check that video out. It's in my playlist. Go check out my channel. And if you like this video, please like, subscribe, comment. Keep in mind that I'm an automotive journalist. I'm not an influencer. I do not get paid to do these videos. Lexus did give me this car to drive for a week, and I'm here to give you the straight dope on it. I'm cutting through right the BS, and I'm giving you the straight facts on this car because there's no need for me to lie to you. What I will say is it's a little outdated in here, but I don't mind. I don't mind because of how it feels and how it's so organic, just like my M Roadster in the garage. I think that a few years from now, these cars, just like that E39 M5, which is, we're facing like 20 years old now. If you don't want a 20-year-old sports car because you're afraid of like the latest safety standards aren't met and things like that, this is the next iteration of that, and it just happens to be Japanese. So whether you buy one today or whether you buy one of these 5 or 10 years from now, just keep in mind that this is what that E39 M5 used to be like for people 20 years ago. That's the best way I can describe this car. And there's nothing wrong with the price on it. It's just that if it's not in your price range right now, don't worry, one day it will be, and I think you really owe it to yourself to check it out. I'm not necessarily a fan of the torque vectoring diff because I don't need this extra gizmo, but it really is the only gizmo on this car. Really, it's like the only thing holding it back. By the way, on Texas, you have the right red arrow. You can still turn on a right red arrow unless there's a sign that says no turn on red. It's kind of redundant, but in places like California, they wouldn't have that sign, but a red arrow would mean no right on red. Texas, you have to read. So keep that little tidbit for you. I dislike this whole navigation thing. It's hard to enter a destination. For instance, when I want to go to somewhere in Dallas from here, I'd have to go to address, and then I'd have to choose the state. But if you haven't chosen the state before, let's go back up. I can't even move around on this thing. You end up like, okay, I have to get through this first. Let's go Wyoming. You don't just get like a keypad. And then when you do try to find a city, you get a keypad and a text pad. It's like, oh my God, I have to get around here. And then when you select a letter, you have limited options here. And it's just like when you move around, that's the hard part. It's getting around this is the worst part. And you could obviously avoid all this by using voice control, but even then I have a hard time using it. We also have blind spot monitors. Back in the day, the M5, would have had parking sensors front and rear. That's pretty much about it as far as all that tech. So now you can get in here and you can set your cruise and you can go down, and now we have a following distance set to the car in front. We can increase our speed, we can change our following distance, and then as we have lane keeping, it will not necessarily steer the vehicle for us. You can see it's not doing that at all. So a lot of the newer V8 powered monster sedans, which cost even more than this, do more features, and I'm kind of mentioning the Mercedes models. But if you don't want a German vehicle because you're afraid of reliability, then going with this GS F is the best choice, because you're really getting a performance sedan, and we're talking high-end performance here, for around 88 grand if you don't get this 1 of 100 edition 10th anniversary with this plaque down here. And I apologize for the mess in here, but it's just the way this car is when I take it on a road trip. I actually use it. The best thing I could say is that when you're driving this car, it's always very tempting to just put the foot down and let the tires just rip. It's like such an intoxicating sound. So I think what I'll do is I'll end the video here, and then what I'll do is I'll say, watch my next video, because I'll do a road trip from Austin to Dallas for you in the 2019 Lexus GS F 10th anniversary. This car is kind of high on the price range for what it is. Doesn't have soft closed doors, doesn't have a power trunk, it doesn't have a panoramic roof, it doesn't have massage seats. There are a lot of things it doesn't have, but there are a lot of things that it does where it's sort of justifiable, because on a long-term basis you can go, everyone's going to want one of these in 10 years. They're just going to be so reliable, and it's such a pragmatic choice to make over a car that has air suspension and soft closed doors and all these other things that this doesn't have, right? So time will tell as far as what depreciation will bring to this car in this segment. I don't think this segment will do very well in general. However, I told you first, keep your eye on this thing in 5 years or 10 years, because you're going to get one hell of a sedan for one hell of a price. All right, I got that road trip video coming up next. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and tell me what you think. Do you agree? Have you owned an E39 M5? Would you want another one? And is the GSF too boy racer for you? Or do you want something a little bit more ballsy than this? Do you want like a Challenger, a Charger, Scat Pack? Like, what exactly are you looking for in a performance sedan these days? Because if this doesn't cut it for you, it must be the price. And that's okay. But what do you really want? Is it just all the power you can squeeze out of it? Do you need turbos? Do you need fuel economy? That makes no sense. let us know, because Lexus watches these videos and they watch the comments you leave. They're listening, and I appreciate it. I really would. I will regret the day when I wake up and Lexus says they're going to stop making the GS. I'm sure that day is going to come. You know, a lot of manufacturers are culling sedans, and I think the GS is one of my favorite Lexus models that they've ever released. I've always liked the first one that they brought into the US. It had that Pininfarina design. Wasn't a fan of the second gen. I do like the third gen. And this gen, I think when they released it, had the largest screen to its competitors. This screen at the time was really big, and now, of course, the new models of those competitors have outclassed this one. But Lexus certainly liked to leapfrog everybody when they came out with vehicles. So if they're not going to leapfrog with another GS, and this is the final iteration of a GS, then I would say get the GS F. That's the best way to go. And you can see the layout here is old school, but I do not mind it. In 5 years from now, you really won't care anyway. It still has the tech you want: radar cruise, adaptive braking, and all that other stuff. So it's up to par. I just think you need to save some dough, bro. Save some dough, bro. All right, this is New Car Spin. I don't edit my videos. This is how I roll. And I hope you enjoyed. And I'll catch up with you in my road trip video. See ya.